Young waitress helped a lost dad at the cafe. She didn't know he was a CEO millionaire single father. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Have you ever felt that strange mix of excitement and nervousness when you've stepped into a new environment? That's exactly how Emma felt walking into the upscale cafe. She had never belonged to places like this. She was a waitress at a local diner, and this cafe was a world apart. Yet, here she was, standing in front of the hostess, trying her best to mask the nerves. Her eyes scanned the room, searching for her date. Table 7, she muttered to herself, her heart pounding in her chest. As she made her way through the dimly lit room, the faint sound of clinking silverware and murmurs of conversations filled the air. Everything felt elegant, almost too elegant for her. She was wearing a second-hand dress, her shoes scuffed from too many walks across the city, and her hands were shaking slightly. But she had promised Jenny, her best friend, that she would give this blind date a chance. Emma took a deep breath and approached the table. There, sitting alone, was a man who seemed to be completely absorbed in his phone. He had dark hair neatly styled, his suit pressed perfectly, and a look of confidence that made him seem completely out of place in Emma's world. "Hi, you must be Kevin," she said, forcing a bright smile. The man looked up, clearly startled by her sudden appearance. He blinked at her, clearly unsure of what to say at first. Hi, Emma," he replied. Emma misread his confusion as shyness and took a seat across from him, her hands fidgeting in her lap. "Oh, I know this is awkward. Blind dates are weird, right? Jenny told me you might be a little quiet, so don't worry. I can talk enough for both of us," she said, trying to fill the silence. The man opened his mouth as if to say something but paused. His phone buzzed, and he looked at it briefly before glancing back at her. Something about her warmth, her nervousness, and how real she seemed made him hesitate. "Right. Blind dates are something else," he said, giving her a faint smile. Emma laughed nervously, feeling her tension ease a little. She could tell that this wasn't exactly how the date was supposed to go, but that was okay. She wasn't here for anything fancy, she just needed to get through it. As they started talking, Emma found herself opening up more than she expected. She shared funny stories from her waitressing job, her struggles to pay rent, and her dream of opening an art studio one day. Liam, the man she thought was Kevin, listened attentively, offering the occasional chuckle or comment. "You're not what I expected," Emma said suddenly, her cheeks flushing slightly. Liam raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "Well, Jenny said you were reserved." "But you're easy to talk to," she said. Liam chuckled softly, leaning back in his chair. "You're easy to talk to too, Emma," he said. She beamed at the compliment, feeling a little more at ease now. Just as she was about to ask more about his job in tech, her phone buzzed. "Hey Emma, where are you?" "I'm at table 7, looking forward to meeting you, Kevin." Emma froze. Her stomach sank as she reread the message slowly. She looked up at Liam, her face turning bright red. "You're not Kevin, are you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam's smile faltered for a second, and guilt flickered in his eyes. "No, I'm not," he said softly. Emma's face turned crimson as the reality of the situation sank in. "Oh my God," she muttered, standing up abruptly. "I'm so sorry. I sat at the wrong table. This is so embarrassing." Before Liam could say anything, she grabbed her coat and bolted for the door, her face burning with humiliation. Liam stood there, watching her go, feeling an unexpected mix of regret and curiosity stirring inside him. He had intended to correct her from the start, but now he found himself wondering if he'd ever see her again. And for some reason, the thought of not seeing her again bothered him more than he expected. I'm sure Emma thought she'd never see him again. After rushing out of the cafe, her heart pounding with embarrassment, she was certain she had made a complete fool of herself. Her face flushed hot, her mind replaying the awkward moment over and over again. "I can't believe I did that," she muttered to herself as she walked through the chilly New York streets, desperately trying to shake off the humiliation. She didn't want to think about it, But the thought of Liam, the man she mistakenly thought was her date, lingered in the back of her mind. Why had he just let her leave without saying anything? Most people would have corrected her, but Liam had just stood there, letting her go. That was odd, wasn't it? But there was something in the way he smiled at her before she bolted that made her feel strange, in a good way. It was a small, quiet moment, but it stayed with her as she made her way home. As she walked into her small apartment, she slumped onto the couch, her mind still spinning. Her roommate Jenny peeked over her laptop with an amused smile. "Bad date?" she asked, trying to hide the smirk on her face. Emma groaned, burying her face in a throw pillow. "Worse. I sat at the wrong table. I thought he was Kevin. I had a full conversation with a complete stranger, and then I ran out like an idiot." Jenny laughed, though she quickly softened. "You'll laugh about this someday." Emma didn't share the sentiment. "I don't want to think about it. I just hope I never see him again." But Jenny wasn't having it. "Are you sure? You said he was nice. I mean, you seemed to get along. Maybe he didn't mind." Emma sighed deeply. "It's not like that. I made a fool of myself, Jenny." "Okay, but you don't know that for sure. You said he was kind. Maybe he's thinking about you too." "Yeah, right," Emma replied, rolling her eyes, though a small part of her wanted to believe it. She stood up and headed to her room, needing a distraction. She had work in the morning, and she was going to focus on that. There was no point in overthinking a blind date gone wrong. At least, that's what she kept telling herself. The next morning, as Emma was scrolling through her phone before heading to the diner for her shift, she received a text. It was from an unknown number. "Hi Emma, this is Liam, from last night. I wanted to apologize for the confusion, but I also wanted to thank you for the conversation. I've been thinking about it all morning. I know this sounds strange, but I'd love to see you again." Emma blinked, rereading the message several times. Was this a joke? Was this really him? She hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to do. Her heart raced as she typed a response, trying to keep her cool. "Hi, Liam. No need to apologize. It was an honest mistake, and I'm sure you didn't mind. But I appreciate your message. I don't know if we should try again, though." Her thumb hovered over the send button. What was she doing? What was the point? She barely knew this guy. She had already embarrassed herself. "You know what? I'll send it," she decided, pressing send before she could second-guess herself. The reply came almost immediately. "I understand if you're hesitant, but I promise, I'm not just some guy who sits at random tables. I really enjoyed our conversation last night, and I'd like to get to know you better. No pressure, just a coffee sometime? My treat." Emma bit her lip. She stared at the screen for a moment, unsure. Was this real? Could this be happening? Finally, she responded. "Okay, coffee sounds nice. But, just so we're clear, I don't expect anything other than just getting to know each other better." A few seconds later, a new message popped up. "Absolutely. Just a chat. How about tomorrow?" Emma smiled, feeling a mixture of nerves and excitement. She had no idea where this would lead, but maybe it was worth taking a chance. The next day, they met at a small cafe in the city. Liam was already there, waiting at a table near the window. He was dressed casually, but there was still that air of elegance about him. As she walked in, she could see him looking up, and when their eyes met, he smiled warmly. She couldn't help but return the smile. "Hi," she said, taking a seat across from him. "Hi, Emma. Glad you could make it," he replied, his tone soft but genuine. There was no awkwardness this time, no confusion. Just two people, sitting across from each other, ready to start fresh. They began talking easily, like they'd known each other forever, and for the first time in a while, Emma felt like she could relax. Maybe she had been wrong about Liam. Maybe this wasn't such a big mistake after all. As they talked, Emma found herself enjoying his company more than she expected. He asked her about her dreams, her passion for art, and the gallery she'd always wanted to open. She shared stories of her struggles, her fears, and her hopes. And Liam? He was surprisingly open too. He told her about his work in tech, how much he had sacrificed for success, and how lonely it could get at the top. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and Emma couldn't help but feel a connection. She found herself laughing at his jokes, feeling lighter than she had in days. As they finished their coffee, Liam gave her a shy but sincere smile. "I'm glad we did this, Emma," he said. Emma smiled back. "Me too." Little did she know, this was just the beginning. This wasn't going to be like any other date she'd been on, and Liam wasn't just any other man. I'm sure Emma never expected this to happen. After their first coffee, things between her and Liam were different. She thought it would be just another casual meetup, a chance to talk and get to know each other. But as they sat together, the chemistry between them was undeniable. They met again a few days later, and this time, the conversation flowed even more easily. Liam was no longer the stranger she had bumped into at the cafe, and Emma wasn't just the waitress who had embarrassed herself in front of him. There was something real developing between them, something that felt natural, but also a little scary. Emma wasn't used to this. She had spent so many years dreaming of a better life, of one day escaping her small world, but she never thought she would meet someone like Liam. As they talked more about their lives, Emma began to realize how different their worlds were. He had lived in luxury, worked in the fast-paced world of tech, and had seen things she could never imagine. She, on the other hand, had grown up in a small town, working hard to make ends meet. Her dreams felt far away, like they belonged to someone else, not someone like her. But Liam never made her feel small. He didn't talk down to her, and he never seemed to care about the differences between their lives. In fact, he seemed genuinely interested in her thoughts and ideas. One afternoon, after they had spent a few hours at a cozy bookstore cafe, Liam suggested something that took Emma by surprise. "How about we go to a charity event this weekend?" he asked. Emma blinked, a little confused. "A charity event?" she repeated. "Yeah, it's for a cause I'm really passionate about. I think you'd enjoy it." "But why me?" Emma asked, trying to make sense of it. "I mean, you know people who are probably more important than me there." Liam smiled, shaking his head. "It's not about that, Emma. It's about you. I want to spend time with you, and I think you'll really like it." She hesitated for a moment. "I'm not sure I belong at something like that," she admitted. Liam's smile widened. "You belong with me. I wouldn't invite you if I didn't think you were someone special." His words made her heart flutter, but at the same time, they made her nervous. What if she felt out of place? What if she embarrassed herself again? Still, she agreed, not wanting to back down. "Okay," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll go." The day of the event came, and Emma stood in front of her mirror, staring at the dress she had borrowed from Jenny. It was the nicest thing she owned, and it didn't quite fit her perfectly, but it would have to do. She sighed, trying to calm her nerves. This wasn't just any event. This was Liam's world. She wasn't sure if she was ready to step into it, but when she arrived at the venue, she was immediately swept up in the crowd. The room was filled with elegantly dressed people, talking, laughing, and sipping champagne. Emma's nerves returned in full force as she scanned the room, looking for Liam. She finally spotted him across the room, standing with a group of people. He looked every bit the part of the successful CEO she had come to learn he was. When he saw her, his face lit up. "Emma," he called, making his way toward her. He was dressed in a sleek tuxedo, his presence commanding, yet his smile was warm. "You made it," he said, taking her hand in his. "I'm glad you're here." She felt a little out of place, but Liam's touch, his warmth, made everything seem okay. As the night went on, Liam introduced her to people in his circle, but she never felt uncomfortable. They talked about everything from art to travel to technology. Emma found herself at ease, especially with Liam by her side. He kept her close, made sure she was comfortable, and made her feel like she truly belonged. The event was beautiful, and Emma couldn't help but feel a little awe at the world Liam was a part of. But it wasn't the luxury or the status that caught her attention, it was him. It was the way he made her feel. She realized that no matter where he came from or how different their worlds were, he had treated her like an equal from the very beginning. As the night drew to a close, Liam leaned in, his voice low. "I'm really glad you came, Emma," he said, his eyes meeting hers. She smiled, her heart racing. "Me too," she whispered. And in that moment, Emma knew that this was just the beginning. What started as a blind date gone wrong had turned into something neither of them could have expected. And maybe, just maybe, this was the kind of love She had always dreamed of one that felt real, honest, and true. I'm sure Emma never expected to feel like this. After the charity event, she couldn't stop thinking about Liam. The way he made her feel important, the way he treated her, like she was the only person in the room, it was unlike anything she had ever experienced. She had always believed that people like him, CEOs, millionaires, lived in a different world, a world far from her own. But with him, it felt like she was right there with him, sharing the same space, the same moments. Over the next few days, they met up a few times, each meeting more comfortable than the last. They talked, they laughed, and they shared bits and pieces of their lives, each one revealing more about the other. Emma had never felt such a strong connection with anyone. Liam, too, seemed to be opening up in ways he never had before. He talked about his struggles growing up, how he had to work hard to build his empire, how lonely it had often felt at the top. But it wasn't just the business side of things that kept him going. It was moments like these, moments with Emma, that reminded him that there was more to life than just success. One afternoon, as they sat in a quiet cafe, sipping coffee and enjoying the rare moment of peace, Liam looked at her with a seriousness that caught her off guard. "Emma," he began, his voice low, "there's something I've been meaning to tell you." She looked at him, wondering what was going on. "What is it?" she asked, her heart racing a little. "I've been thinking about us," he said, hesitating for just a second. "I don't want you to feel like I'm rushing things or pushing you into something, but I need to be honest with you. I really care about you. I don't want to hide that." Emma felt her breath catch in her throat. She had always been cautious with her emotions, afraid of getting hurt. But hearing Liam say that was like a breath of fresh air. It was the reassurance she didn't know she needed. "Liam," she started, unsure of what to say next. "I care about you too. I didn't expect this, any of this. But I don't want to hold back either. I'm scared, but I don't want to miss this chance." Liam smiled, his eyes softening as he reached across the table to take her hand. "We'll take it slow," he said. "No pressure. I just want to see where this goes with you." Emma squeezed his hand, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. She had been scared of this kind of connection before, but with Liam, it felt different. It felt real. The days that followed were filled with a newfound sense of excitement. They continued to spend time together, exploring new places, getting to know each other on a deeper level. Emma felt herself falling for him, slowly but surely. It wasn't just about the grand gestures or the luxury. It was about the little moments, the way he looked at her, the way he listened when she spoke, the way he made her feel like she mattered. But even as their bond deepened, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. There was still the matter of his wealth, his status, the world he belonged to. She was just a waitress, a small-town girl, with big dreams, but little else. Could someone like her really fit into his world? Could someone like her be enough for him? Those thoughts lingered in the back of her mind, but she pushed them away whenever she was with him. She didn't want to doubt what they had. She didn't want to ruin it before it even had a chance to bloom. Then, one evening, as they were walking through the city, Liam stopped suddenly and turned to her, his expression serious. "Emma," he said, his voice firm, "there's something I need to tell you. It's important." Emma's heart skipped a beat. Was this the moment he was going to tell her the truth about his wealth? About his life? "What is it?" she asked, her voice shaking a little. Liam took a deep breath and looked at her, his eyes filled with sincerity. "I'm not just a CEO, Emma. I'm a father, too." Emma blinked in surprise, not fully understanding. "A father?" she asked. Liam nodded. "Yes, I have a daughter. Her name's Lily. She's the most important person in my life." Emma felt her heart race, and for a moment, everything went still. She hadn't expected this, hadn't expected Liam to reveal something so personal. "I've been hesitant to tell you because I didn't want you to think I was hiding anything," Liam continued. "But I need you to know the truth. She's the reason I've been so focused on my work, why I've been so distant at times. I've been trying to balance everything, but it's hard." Emma stood there for a moment, processing what he had just said. Liam was a father. He had a daughter. It wasn't just his career that defined him, it was his family. And suddenly, everything clicked into place. She wasn't just falling for a businessman. She was falling for a man who had a family, who had responsibilities, who had a whole other world she didn't know about. But instead of feeling overwhelmed, Emma felt something else, something she couldn't quite explain. A sense of understanding, of acceptance. Maybe this was the missing piece she had been waiting for. Liam wasn't perfect, and neither was she, but they had something real, and that was enough. I think Emma's heart was racing more than ever. After Liam's revelation about his daughter, Lily, she wasn't sure what to say. It was a lot to process, more than she had expected, but somehow it felt right. Liam wasn't just this mysterious, successful CEO who had swept her off her feet. He was a father, a man who had responsibilities that went beyond his career, and that made him more real to her than ever before. She took a deep breath, looking at him, trying to find the right words. "Liam," she began, her voice a little shaky. "I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to find out so much about you all at once, but I'm glad you told me." Liam's eyes softened, and he stepped closer, reaching for her hand. "I know it's a lot, Emma. I didn't want to overwhelm you, but I couldn't keep this from you. Lily is everything to me, and I want you to understand why I've been distant at times. My focus has always been on building a future for her, but now I realize there's more to life than just work." Emma smiled softly, squeezing his hand. "I understand, Liam. I really do. I know what it's like to work hard, to fight for something better, but I also know how important it is to have someone to share that with. And Lily, she must be so lucky to have you as her father." Liam's eyes twinkled as he smiled at her. "She's everything to me. I never imagined I'd meet someone like you, someone who makes me want to be better, for both her and me. I didn't want to drag you into my world without knowing how you'd feel about all of this." Emma took a step closer to him, her heart pounding in her chest. "I care about you, Liam. I care about everything you've shared with me, and I care about your daughter too. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm willing to take that step with you, if you'll have me." Liam looked at her, his gaze intense but full of warmth. "You mean that?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I do," Emma replied, her voice steady. "I'm not afraid of what comes next, as long as we're in it together." Liam smiled, and for a moment, the world around them seemed to fade away. It was just the two of them, standing there in the quiet night, with the weight of their feelings hanging between them. He reached out, gently cupping her face in his hands, and kissed her softly. A kiss that spoke volumes without saying a word. When they pulled away, Emma felt like she could breathe again. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't without its challenges, but for the first time in a long time, she felt truly at peace. The next few weeks passed in a blur. They spent more time together, getting to know each other even deeper, and Emma found herself growing closer to Liam's world, not just as his partner, but as someone who cared deeply about his daughter too. They visited Lily on weekends, and Emma was struck by how much love Liam had for her. She could see it in the way he spoke to her, the way he held her hand, and how every decision he made was for her future. And slowly, Lily began to warm up to Emma. At first, she was shy, unsure of this new woman in her father's life. But over time, Emma found ways to connect with her. They painted together, played games, and spent hours talking about everything and anything. One afternoon, while they were all at the park, Lily turned to Emma with a big smile. "Do you want to be my friend?" she asked, her eyes wide and hopeful. Emma's heart melted, and she nodded, her voice soft but full of emotion. "Of course I do, Lily. I would love to be your friend." It felt like a turning point for Emma. She had always wanted to have a family of her own, but now, it wasn't just about her and Liam. It was about them, as a family, and the bond they were building together. But even as things between them seemed to fall into place, Emma couldn't shake the nagging thought that still lingered in the back of her mind. Was she enough for Liam and Lily? Could she really step into their world and make a place for herself? She was just a waitress, after all. What did she have to offer a CEO, a man who had everything? The doubts crept in, but every time she saw Liam smile, every time she heard Lily laugh, those doubts started to fade. Emma had already proven to herself that she was more than just her job, more than just where she came from. She was someone who cared, someone who was willing to take a chance, and that was enough. One evening, as they were sitting together in Liam's penthouse, looking out over the city skyline, he turned to her, his eyes full of emotion. "Emma," he said, his voice gentle, "I don't know what I'd do without you. You've changed my life, and you've changed Lily's too. I never expected to find someone like you, someone who's real, someone who loves without reservation. Emma felt her heart swell. I feel the same way, Liam. I never expected this either, but I'm glad it's with you. And I'm here, for both of you, no matter what. As they sat there, the city lights twinkling around them, Emma knew that this was only the beginning. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them, because she wasn't facing them alone. She had Liam, and she had Lily, and that was everything. I think Emma had never felt more certain of her decision than she did in that moment. Sitting next to Liam, her heart full of hope, and with Lily's hand in hers, she realized that everything she had ever dreamed of was right here in front of her. She was part of something bigger now, something real. Yet, despite the warm, comforting feeling that surrounded her, there was still a part of her that hesitated. Was she really ready for everything this relationship would bring? Was she truly meant for this life, this world that felt so foreign to her? She had spent years working hard in the diner, scraping by, dreaming of a different future. But now, she was stepping into the world of luxury, responsibility, and family. It wasn't that she didn't want it. She wanted it more than anything. But sometimes, doubt would sneak in, whispering in her ear that she wasn't good enough. "Emma," Liam said, breaking through her thoughts, his voice soft and full of care. "I know things have moved fast, but I want you to know that I'm in this for the long run. For you, for Lily, for us." She turned to look at him, her heart swelling with emotion. "I want this too, Liam," she replied, her voice steady, though she could feel her pulse racing. "I'm just scared sometimes, you know. I've never had everything so close before. I've always had to fight for what I have." Liam smiled, reaching for her hand and squeezing it gently. "I know. I've seen that strength in you since the first day we met. That's one of the things I admire about you. You're real. And no matter what, that's all that matters. You don't need to be anyone else." Emma smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. Maybe Liam was right. Maybe the love they were building wasn't about perfection or fitting into a certain mold. It was about being honest, being true, and being there for each other. The next few weeks passed by in a whirlwind. They spent more time together, each moment strengthening their bond. Liam was there for every important step, every breakthrough, every challenge. He wasn't just the successful CEO, the man with the wealth and influence. He was the man who stood beside her, supporting her, encouraging her. He cheered her on when she finally started taking steps toward her art studio, even helping her find the perfect location. Lily, too, had become an important part of Emma's life. The little girl's trust in her had grown, and Emma was beginning to feel like a part of their little family, even though it had been a bit of a journey. Emma had never thought of herself as a mother figure, but with Lily, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. They had spent hours together, baking cookies, painting pictures, and even learning how to ride a bike. Emma had no idea what the future held, but she knew she wanted to be there for both of them, Liam and Lily, through everything. But, as things were progressing, Emma couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that something was about to change. The weight of their relationship felt like it was growing heavier by the day, and Emma was starting to feel like she was walking a tightrope. She had always been a fighter, but this was different. Liam was a part of a world that was so much bigger than hers. A world where every decision had consequences. A world where her actions, her place, her choices, everything felt magnified. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, the warmth of the fire flickering in the background, Liam turned to her, his face serious. "Emma, there's something we need to talk about," he said, his voice low. Emma's heart skipped a beat. "What's wrong?" she asked, her worry clear in her voice. "It's not that something's wrong," he replied, taking a deep breath. "It's just that I need you to understand the responsibility that comes with my life, with my position. It's not just about us. There are people who depend on me, on the decisions I make, and I've been trying to balance everything without it all spilling over into our lives. But I don't want to keep you in the dark. This isn't just about our relationship. There are obligations I have, things I can't ignore." Emma nodded slowly, understanding what he was saying, but still feeling the weight of it settle in her chest. "I know," she said, her voice steady. "I've seen how much pressure you're under. But I want you to know, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for this, for you and Lily. Whatever comes, I'm here." Liam's eyes softened, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "You mean that?" he asked. "I do," she replied, her voice unwavering. "I'm in this for the long haul. We're in this together." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their words settling between them. Emma didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing for sure: she wasn't alone in this. And whatever came next, she would face it with Liam, with Lily, by her side. The journey wasn't over yet, but it was only just beginning. I think Emma had never felt more at peace than she did right now, sitting on the couch in Liam's penthouse, her hand resting in his, while Lily played nearby. The warmth of the fire flickered in the background, casting a soft glow across the room. For the first time, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. The life she had imagined in her quiet, small-town world had never been so far removed. And yet, here she was, in this new world with Liam and Lily. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. They had settled into a routine, and although things hadn't always been easy, Emma felt an unspoken connection growing between them. Liam had shown her a side of life she had never known, one full of challenges, responsibilities, and rewards. But through it all, his love and devotion for his daughter, and now for her, never wavered. She had come to understand more about the man she had fallen for, and it wasn't just his wealth or success that had drawn her in. It was his heart, his sincerity, and his dedication to the people he loved. Emma had also found herself embracing her role in their world. At first, the idea of fitting into Liam's lavish lifestyle had been daunting, but as the days passed, she grew more comfortable, not because the world around her had changed, but because she had changed. She no longer saw herself as an outsider. She was part of this family, and that realization made her heart swell with gratitude. As they spent more time together, Emma and Liam found themselves opening up even more. One evening, after Lily had gone to bed, Liam took her out to dinner at a quiet restaurant by the water. It was one of their favorite spots, peaceful and intimate, away from the chaos of the city. They sat across from each other, the soft sound of the waves lapping at the shore, the flickering candlelight between them. Liam reached across the table and took her hand in his. "You know, Emma," he said, his voice soft, "I've been thinking about how much things have changed." "How much I've changed?" Emma raised an eyebrow, curious. "In what way?" she asked, her voice warm. Liam smiled, his eyes locking with hers. "I used to think that success was everything, that building an empire was all that mattered. But after meeting you, everything changed. I never thought I could have both my work and someone to share my life with. You've made me realize that balance, that love, is just as important, if not more. I want you to know, I'm here for you, and for us, no matter what comes our way." Emma's heart fluttered at his words. She had always known how much he cared, but hearing him say it so clearly, so sincerely, made her feel truly seen. "Liam," she said softly, her eyes glistening, "I've never felt more at home than I do with you and Lily. I've always dreamed of having a family, and now it feels like I'm finally a part of one. I'm so grateful for you both, for everything we have." Liam smiled warmly, squeezing her hand. "We're just getting started, Emma. I want you to know this is only the beginning for us. I know we've had our challenges, but I believe in us. I believe in our future." Emma nodded, her heart full of hope. For the first time, she didn't feel like an imposter in this world. She belonged here, with Liam, with Lily. They were a family, and nothing could change that. But as life always had a way of throwing curveballs, things were about to get more complicated. A few weeks later, Liam's company faced a major crisis. A deal that he had worked on for months had fallen through, and the pressure mounted quickly. Emma could see the stress on his face, the way he buried himself in work even more than usual. He would stay up late, poring over reports, making calls, trying to fix the damage. Emma could feel the distance between them growing, and it scared her. She had never seen him like this before, so consumed by his work, so distant. "Liam," she said one evening, her voice gentle but concerned, "are you okay? You've been so focused on this deal, and I can tell it's eating you up inside. But you don't have to carry it all by yourself. We're in this together, remember?" Liam paused, his eyes tired. He hadn't realized how much he had been shutting her out. He had always prided himself on being able to handle things on his own, but now He was beginning to see how much he needed Emma. "I'm sorry, Emma," he said, his voice full of regret. "I've been so caught up in trying to fix this, I didn't even notice how it was affecting us. I don't want to lose what we have." Emma reached for his hand, her eyes soft. "You're not going to lose me, Liam. But you need to talk to me. Share what's going on. You don't have to carry the weight of the world alone. We're partners in this, and we'll face it together." Liam smiled faintly, relieved by her words. "I don't deserve you," he whispered. "But I'm so glad you're here." They sat together in the quiet of the night, holding hands, knowing that they would face whatever came their way, together. As much as they had gone through, as much as their lives had changed, they had each other, and that was all that mattered. I think Emma knew that life was never going to be the same again. After the conversation with Liam, things felt different between them, closer, more connected, but there was still a lingering sense of uncertainty. As much as she had wanted to believe that everything would be easy, that their bond would carry them through the challenges, the truth was that real life wasn't like a fairy tale. They both had responsibilities, fears, and insecurities, but that was what made their relationship feel so real. It wasn't just about the glamorous moments or the big events. It was about the quiet nights, the understanding glances, the shared struggles, and the commitment to stick together no matter what. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of emotions for both of them. The company crisis that Liam had been dealing with started to settle, but it had left its mark. Liam was still recovering from the pressure, but Emma could see that the weight he had been carrying for so long was starting to lift. He was more present now, more open, and it seemed like they were both learning how to balance their personal lives with the demands of their careers. It wasn't perfect, but they were trying, and that was all that mattered. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, the soft glow of the fireplace casting shadows on the walls, Liam turned to Emma, his expression serious. "I've been thinking a lot, Emma," he said, his voice steady, "about us, about what we've built, about everything we've been through." Emma looked up from the book she had been reading, sensing the shift in his tone. "What is it, Liam?" she asked, her voice soft but filled with curiosity. He took a deep breath, as if gathering his thoughts before speaking. "I don't want to take this for granted, and I don't want to rush anything, but I can't imagine my life without you in it, Emma. You've changed everything for me, and I want you to know, I'm here for the long haul. I'm ready for whatever comes next. I want to build this life with you, not just for myself, but for us." Emma's heart skipped a beat as she processed his words. It wasn't just about the love they had shared, it was about the future, the life they could create together. She had always dreamed of having someone by her side who would support her, who would stand with her through thick and thin. And here Liam was, offering exactly that. "Liam," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I want that too. I've never felt more certain of anything in my life. You've made me believe in things I never thought possible, and I'm ready for the future, with you." Liam smiled, his eyes warm and full of love. "You have no idea how much that means to me, Emma. I've spent so much of my life thinking I had to do everything on my own, but now, with you by my side, I realize that we're stronger together." Emma smiled back, her heart full of affection for the man who had shown her a different way of living, a way that didn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. Just then, the sound of a door opening broke their moment, and Lily appeared in the doorway, her eyes wide with curiosity. "What are you two talking about?" she asked, a mischievous grin on her face. Liam chuckled, his expression softening as he turned toward his daughter. "We're talking about the future, kiddo. About how much we love you, and how much we're excited to keep building our little family." Lily's face lit up as she ran over to them, climbing onto the couch and snuggling between her father and Emma. "I like the sound of that," she said with a smile. And Emma couldn't help but feel a rush of warmth in her chest. This was what it meant to be a family, to be there for each other, no matter what, through all the ups and downs. As the days passed, their bond only grew stronger. Emma continued to work on her art studio, and Liam supported her every step of the way, helping her find new opportunities and resources. It wasn't easy, but together, they were making it work. And it wasn't just about business, it was about dreams. Liam had his own ambitions, his own goals, but he had made room for Emma's too. and that meant the world to her. One evening, as they were walking through the park with Lily, Liam turned to her, his voice full of sincerity. "Emma, I want you to know that no matter what happens, I'm here for you, always. We're in this together, and I'll never take that for granted." Emma felt her heart swell with love for him. "I know, Liam, and I'll always be here for you too. I promise." In that moment, Emma knew that their future wasn't going to be easy, and it wasn't going to be without its challenges. But it was their future, and they would face it as a family. Together. I think Emma realized in that moment that everything they had gone through had led them here, to this point where their lives were finally aligning. Liam, who had once been so consumed by his career, had found balance. He wasn't just a CEO, he was a father, a partner, and someone who was finally embracing the idea that life wasn't just about success, but about love, family, and the relationships that truly mattered. And Emma, who had once thought she would never belong in this world, had found a place, not just in Liam's life, but in his heart, and in the heart of his daughter, Lily. It was hard to believe how much had changed. When she first met Liam, she had no idea how much he would come to mean to her, how much she would come to mean to him. The life they were building wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. And it was real. There were still challenges ahead, there were still moments of uncertainty, but Emma no longer felt the need to hide from them. She knew that as long as they were together, they could face anything. One evening, after a quiet dinner at home, Emma and Liam sat on the balcony, watching the city lights flicker below them. Lily was already tucked into bed, and the house was peaceful, a rare moment of calm in their busy lives. Liam looked at Emma, his eyes soft but filled with something deeper. "Emma," he began, his voice steady but full of emotion. "I've been thinking a lot about everything we've been through, about how much you've changed my life, and I want you to know I'm ready for whatever comes next. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Not because of anything we've built, but because of what we've shared, what we are." Emma's heart fluttered at his words, and she could feel her emotions welling up inside her. "Liam," she whispered, "I don't think I've ever been more sure of anything in my life. You've shown me a love I never thought was possible. You've made me believe in something bigger than myself." Liam smiled, a gentle, genuine smile that made Emma feel like she was the only one in the world. "I want you to know, Emma, that no matter what happens, we're in this together. I'll always be here for you, and for Lily, and for everything that comes next. I want to build a future with you, one step at a time, just like we've been doing." Emma smiled back, tears welling in her eyes. "I want that too, Liam. I want to build a life with you, for all of us, and I'll be here, always." For a moment, neither of them spoke, the silence between them comfortable, filled with the understanding that everything was exactly where it was meant to be. As the night stretched on, Emma couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. She had once thought that love, happiness, and a life of fulfillment were things that happened to other people. But now, with Liam and Lily, she had everything she had ever dreamed of. They weren't perfect, but they were perfect for each other. And that was enough. Weeks later, on a beautiful spring day, Liam took Emma by surprise. He had arranged for a small gathering at their favorite park, a picnic with close friends and family. It wasn't a grand celebration, but it was everything Emma had ever wanted. Surrounded by the people they loved, the three of them, Emma, Liam, and Lily, sat together under the shade of an old oak tree, laughing, sharing stories, and enjoying each other's company. And then, as the afternoon sun began to set, Liam stood up and, with a smile that made Emma's heart race, he turned to her. "Emma," he said, his voice steady but filled with warmth, "will you marry me?" Emma's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't expected this, but in that moment, she realized that this was exactly what she had always wanted. To be a part of something that wasn't just about success or status, but about love and family. "Yes, Liam," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Yes, I will marry you." The cheers from their friends and family echoed in the air, but Emma's focus was on Liam, on the love that had brought them here, to this moment. As they stood there, hand in hand, Emma realized that this was just the beginning. They still had a lifetime ahead of them, full of challenges, growth, and moments that would test them, but she had never felt more ready. They had built something real, something worth fighting for, and nothing could tear that apart. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the park, Emma knew one thing for sure. Love wasn't perfect, but it was worth it. And as long as they had each other, nothing else mattered. In this touching and heartfelt journey of love and personal growth, we dive into a powerful story that explores the dynamics of love, family, and self-discovery. This is one of the most moving millionaire stories, showcasing how a young waitress meets a successful CEO and how their lives intertwine in unexpected ways. As the story unfolds, we witness how two people from very different worlds come together, learning the true meaning of partnership and love. From the initial awkward encounter in a cafe to their growth together as a family, this story has all the hallmarks of the best millionaire stories. The emotional depth of the characters and their willingness to face their fears and challenges makes this an unforgettable narrative. Alongside romance, the story also touches on the complexities of balancing personal and professional life, something that many of us can relate to. As the two main characters face struggles, their bond grows stronger, reflecting the true essence of love in millionaire stories. Through hardships, they find the strength to move forward together, showing that real love is about being there for each other, no matter the circumstances. This is more than just another romance. It's a testament to how the most unexpected connections can lead to the most beautiful transformations. If you love millionaire stories that are full of emotion, struggle, and triumph, this one will surely resonate with you.